everyone listening in. Thanks for tuning in. For the people that do not know me, I'm Leon, and I've been a moderator over at Band for the past couple of years. I'd say 2 or 3 years. What do I do? I usually ensure community guidelines on our engagement platforms such as Twitter, X now, and Discord, as well as moderate user content. I have a very direct line with our marketing and our tech team for any issues that come across. I have a direct line to take that up with them. So that's basically what I do over at Band for the past few years. I also host AMAs, which we are in right now. Today I have the pleasure to host yet another special AMA. Joining us today is CTF. He's the lead core contributor over at Omni, which is developed by Beta Finance. Most recently, Omni innovated our Oracle solution and quite frankly bring forth a new era of decentralized lending, I'd say. CTF, a warm welcome, man. Before we do a deep dive into Omni, would you mind briefly introducing yourself to everyone?
Yeah, thanks, Leon. And thank you, Jen, for inviting me to this AMA today. It's good to meet everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm CTF, the lead core contributor at Beta. And we're really excited to be here on this AMA to talk about all things DeFi, lending, and of course, oracles. And to kind of give you guys some background about myself, I first started building in crypto almost 3 years ago now, and ended up at Beta because I saw there was a lack of development around money markets at the time. And I believe that money markets, along with DEXs, are the most critical parts of any financial infrastructure, especially in DeFi. And if we really want to work on making DeFi adoption grow and actually making DeFi more usable, we have to create these like primitives to exist in the first place. And so at Beta, we're embarking on this journey to really build the best possible money market that will be able to support the future financial system that we'll have on the blockchain.
Sweet. Cheers for the introduction there, man. You touched on Omni a bit already, but for people that are not aware what Omni is, could you give a more in-depth explanation? What's the vision you're trying to solve here? And as with decentralized finance, there's obviously a lot of competition. So I'm very keen to hear on the uniqueness of Omni here. How do you, for instance, deal with people needing to have multiple accounts for, I'd say various lending or borrow positions?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's a few questions that were asked here. The first one was why did we create Omni? Like, why is it different from what exists right now? And to start off with that one, we created Omni because we saw that right now, if you're like, money markets are heavily favored toward borrowers. And what this means is borrowers are able to have say over what tokens they're able to use as collateral, how much money they're going to borrow at any time, whether or not they will repay at any time. Whereas lenders are really suffering, right? Lenders aren't really able to choose who they lend to. They just deposit into a pool. And then also if there's outstanding borrowers and not enough liquidity to withdraw, then lenders are kind of stuck, right? And so overall, this isn't really a money market that's fair to both lenders and borrowers right now. It's more fair to borrowers. And so we kind of ask ourselves, what can we do to make lending more powerful for the depositors? And one of the ideas that we came up with is what if lenders could opt in and opt out of specific assets that they were willing to lend to. So for example, say I'm a lender on Aave and I only want to lend to, say, the stable coins, ETH and Uni token. I don't want CRV token to be used as collateral because I see that as high risk. And so we wanted to enable this kind of behavior within money markets themselves. And so that's what we built with Omni, and we accomplished this as well. And the other thing was trying to improve existing UX on money markets. So you mentioned just now the gasless sub-accounts, and we think it's a really cool feature. So before, if you've interacted with any money market, you basically had only one account. And what this meant was you had to either create multiple wallets for like different positions, or you had to mix all your positions into like one account, which could cause unnecessary problems that you didn't initially expect. And so from this idea, like we realized, what if we could enable users to create sub accounts without any additional gas, right? And so now on Omni, you can kind of create an account without spending any gas to manage all kinds of loan positions through, say, like one wallet, where if you want to use stablecoins in your wallet to borrow, you could do that. And then if you want to use something that's like a more risky collateral, you could also do that. And so we're have some like cool Easter egg features as well, which is like you can rename your account. That allows you to like stay more organized when managing your various loan positions. So hopefully no one's needs to like dig through all their like MetaMask wallets anymore.
I see it. Very interesting, man. Thanks for the great answer there. Would you mind explaining people how the protocol works? While doing some research for the AMA, I noticed that you have a pretty slick UI design. I unfortunately wasn't able to test the protocol itself, but yeah, might explain how it works. How's the overall user experience has been?
Yeah, definitely. So the protocol is an entirely like new mechanism that where we introduce like a few new UI UX features compared to what people are most familiar with. But we understand that like DeFi is pretty complex, and so we want to keep it as familiar and simple as possible still. So at the core, what we do is we introduce a new concept called risk pools. And what this essentially allows you to do is opt in and opt out of supporting different collateral assets that you're lending to. So you can imagine the advantage of this is like for lenders, they're able to explicitly say like how much risk they want to take on. And then additionally, as like the protocol itself, it makes it a lot easier to like list new collateral assets, because any new collateral asset is siloed away from affecting the risk of other positions or other lenders on the protocol. And so what we effectively do is take the benefits of isolated pair model for money market lending while removing the cons of, say, like liquidity fragmentation or lack of capital efficiency. And so the main difference for users on the front end, though, is that whenever you deposit, you just need to take one extra step, which is to select a risk pool that you're willing to lend to. Otherwise, withdrawing, borrowing, and repaying still follow the same UX flows that we're all familiar with. And we also have tried to like improve the UX experience by integrating the ability to like wrap and unwrap ETH directly in our products.
That's a good one. Thanks again. Moving back to the partnership between Omni and Band. As I touched on earlier, Band is obviously the core Oracle solution for Omni. Would you mind telling everyone tuning in how Omni uses Band oracles and how the overall implementation process went between both parties?
Band is able to move much, much faster, supporting an Oracle price feed in as fast as 2 weeks even, which is much faster compared to other Oracle's providers that we have worked with before. And so we found that this is really important, especially for a product like us, which is trying to capitalize on these like narrative shifts in crypto. And these things happen quite often because crypto moves fast. But as a lending protocol, we also need to consider security very, very carefully. And that's another thing that I really like about Band, is that they have very robust and clear requirements for which price feeds they are able to secure. And if they have their like own analysis that they perform before giving us the guarantee. And then if they find any problems, then they'll be transparent and say like, hey, like there are X, Y, and Z problems, so we can't support it. And I think this is very good because it kind of provides an additional layer of analysis for protocols interested in supporting new assets. Because once we support a new asset, it's very hard to take it back immediately. And so Band provides like an extra guarantee layer that says like, hey, we've done the security analysis. We believe it is reasonably secure, and we're okay with going ahead and supporting it. And this adds an extra security guarantee for our end users who are lending and borrowing as well, knowing that there have been multiple rounds of research in order to support this asset. And another really important thing is that Band has very reasonable costs for Oracle price feed support. So things have gotten very expensive recently in terms of gas, but surprisingly, the fees have been quite low compared to many Oracle providers. And this is actually because Band has optimized their contracts by 10x, so reduce the gas cost by like 10x or more even. And I've always found it a pleasure working with them because like for anything that has been like short notice or like things that might be like crazy requests from us, they've always been very helpful and reasonable and overall like a white glove experience in kind of exceeding our expectations for like a business partner and being able to deliver what they say they will do on time so that there are no delays. And so overall, yeah, would recommend.
Cool. Great words, man. Thank you again. Moving back to Omni here, notice that there are some points to gain while using the platform. Mind elaborating everyone more on that? What is it and how is it accrued while using Omni?
Yeah, so I think you're referring here to our Omni Overdrive Season 1 rewards program. And we actually just announced this last week. And there's going to be up to 10 million and more beta up for grabs. And you can earn points from depositing and borrowing. So right now, actually, like each point is worth more than one beta. So the actual return for like your capital is potentially over 100% APR if you have activity on the protocol. And some alpha here for those that are listening is certain actions on the protocol are awarded more than others. And those who also put an effort to test more parts of the protocol and experience more of our features will also be rewarded more. And we also understand that the costs on Ethereum are a bit prohibitive now, especially in the recent weeks. So we're trying to launch on BNB chain as soon as we can so that users will able to be able to interact with the protocol without having to worry too much about gas fees. And users on BNB chain will also be eligible for the points which will then be redeemable for rewards at the end of season 1. And another side note is we'll also be launching on one more chain before the end of the month, and that chain will also be eligible for rewards as part of the Omni Overdrive program.
Moving to another feature I came across, our risk pools. You touched on it already a bit earlier. Would you mind explaining those more in depth by people who are not aware what those are?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So you can think of risk pools like being able to choose who you want to lend your tokens to. For example, as a lender, I might not want to lend to risky assets like SHIB or Pepe, but still want to lend to safer assets like ETH. Or another person may want to lend to SHIB and also ETH at the same time. Under the hood, however, we're able to aggregate all these choices lenders make together so that there's max capital efficiency and zero liquidity fragmentation. To give you guys like an example more, let's say there's a person, Alice, who lends USDC and allows ETH as collateral. And then there's another person, Bob, who also lends USDC and allows both ETH and Beta as collateral. On protocols like Silo or Rari, Alice and Bob would have to split their deposits, making them only available to either ETH or Beta collateral borrowers. However, on Omni, this isn't necessary at all. Borrowers are able to use ETH who are using ETH are able to take money from both Alice and Bob, while borrowers using Beta are only able to take money from Bob. So as you can see from this, Omni gives the benefits of siloing risk, like protocols like Silo and Rari, without the problems of liquidity fragmentation or losing out on yield. So you get the best of both worlds.
Great stuff. And touching on that, how does Omni deal with liquidity fragmentation? You touched on it in your answer. How do you guys deal with that?
Yeah, great question. So things will get a little bit technical here, but you can kind of imagine when you are a lender, you select different collateral assets that you want to agree to lend to. And then these assets are marked behind the scenes as, hey, let's assign Leon's liquidity to this asset and to say like ETH and Beta at the same time. And then let's assign another person Alice's assets to just ETH. And so when anyone comes to borrow, we first check what collateral that person is using. And then based off of that collateral, check what liquidities are assigned to those tokens. So there's some complex math going on here to solve this double accounting problem so that there's no bugs. But for those that are more interested in how it works technically, feel free to read our code base. It's public. And we have also published our audit reports so that people can also dive into those to really feel safe and understand how the protocol works more.
All right, thanks. Transparency is always a good thing. Moving forward, how's the roadmap for Omni? What's like the next low-hanging fruit you're planning to develop or release in the near future?
Yeah, so we've published a public roadmap about a week ago that's available for everyone to see. Some of the things that we're having to go live in the near term are support for BNB chain, as well as another chain to be announced by the end of December. And we're also really excited to get a new beta staking system live before the end of the month as well. And so these are the things that are coming most immediately this month, but we have much, much more in store for the rest of the year, such as like enabling borrowing of long tail assets, and also integrating with Layer 0 and Stargate to enable multi-chain lending.
All right, cool. Referring to BAM protocol, we are actually very strict on security measures. Looking back over the past year, I think we've noticed that there were a ton of exploits in DeFi. Yeah, just curious to hear which steps Omni has taken to assure the security of your platform.
Yeah, at Omni and Beta, we also take security very, very seriously. So our code base has undergone exhaustive testing for all our contracts, and we have also undergone several audits, 3 of which are publicly available from Code Arena, Trust Security, and PegShield. And we're also still we have several monitoring systems up in place so that if there's any inappropriate activity on our protocol, then we're immediately alerted so that we're able to pinpoint and resolve it before it's able to get out of hand. And yeah, all the exploits in DeFi recently really suck, and we want people to take security a lot more seriously, and make sure that it comes first while still being able to move fast.
Yeah, I can agree more personally. How is the token you have beta used on the platform for Omni?
Yeah, so Beta has a few utilities right now. It's able to be used as collateral for borrowing on the protocol. You're able to earn greater loyalty from using Beta as collateral on our protocol and putting it there. And we're also going to have the new staking module going live soon, hopefully in 1 or 2 weeks, where we're going to allow people to stake their token on the protocol to receive incentives. And then additionally, we're also looking to introduce a token bribe system soon, where, for example, other protocols are able to bribe beta holders in order to vote to list their tokens as collateral assets or distribute more token emissions to those products as well.
I see. I had top of my question before we move on to some Q&A questions. How are you looking at real world assets? Is that something you're open to exploring? Because it's primarily crypto now.
Yeah, definitely. We're also thinking heavily about real world assets. We're looking to support SDI as collateral soon so that users will able to earn yield on their additional yield on their like stablecoin deposits. And we plan to introduce a feature as well, which is um, to be able to allow users to deposit anything like USDC, USDT, JAI immediately on the platform and earn the real world asset yield on top of lending yield as well. And some of the other things that we're also looking at right now is potentially integrating Pendle's PT tokens as collateral, because it would be interesting to support these kind of like native yield tokens on our protocol so that people are able to maintain the yield exposure and access capital at the same time.
Thanks. As touched on earlier, seeing as there's quite extensive competition in the space, there are various startups in crypto I'd say that do lending or borrowing. What's your strategy to stay ahead of your competition?
Yeah, so one of the biggest issues we see with existing competition in money markets is that they don't really change. Most money markets have a really slow process for listing new collateral assets, but we're looking to change that and enable faster turnover for what assets are supported on the money market currently. And the reason why we think this is possible is because in the end, the goal of supporting a collateral asset is mainly to ensure that there's no bad debt. And if you think about crypto as a whole, it's very cyclical. So there are periods where there's a lot of strong activity and it's a lot safer to list an asset as collateral. But then say maybe like 3 months later, the activity is a lot weaker. So it's not as safe to continue to support that as collateral. And so we introduced this kind of expiration timestamp mechanism, which makes it clear to the end user that there will be periodic reviews for collateral assets on the protocol. And basically setting up this infrastructure and protocol enables us with like listing new assets, which is a huge advantage over any other protocol that's out there right now.
Nice one. I think we covered a broader overview of the formal partnership, ongoing developments, and so is there anything that you want to touch on that I missed out on or that we haven't talked about before we move on to some Q&A questions?
Yeah, I think we can move on to the Q&A and then speak more about anything that people are interested in more particularly.
Yeah, sure. I had a couple questions from some users. First question will be user who asks, how does Omni plan to address the issue of gas fees? And what measures are in place to ensure that trading fees on the Omni platform remain affordable and accessible to all its users?
Yeah, that's also been on our mind these past few weeks. And so that's why we're launching on BNB chain, as well as another chain, which I will not name right now, but I think some people can guess which one it will be. That will launch on by the end of December. And the gas fees on there should be much, much less, about I believe it's like 100 times to 200 times less in gas fees to interact with our protocol. And one of the other things recently is Blast is announcing that they'll be launching a mainnet in February. And so Omni will also be available there. And hopefully by moving to these like L2s where fees are cheaper, users are able to take advantage of the cheaper fees and not have to be stuck with only Ethereum.
Gotcha. I have another user who asks, how is Omni tackling the issue of user adoption? What steps are being taken to promote greater awareness and understanding of the platform among potential users and traders?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're really trying to spearhead our marketing and education efforts at Beta. So we've partnered with a few KOLs recently to launch like YouTube videos that are informational content, as well as like generate like strategies for how we can frame the product to get more adoption by showing like interesting yield strategies that can be taken advantage of through Omni. And then we're also looking to like start sponsoring some events, such as like Blockchain Week in Taipei to raise awareness about the product more.
Thank you. And then we have a last question. You explained it already earlier in the conversation, but either way, what inspired the creation of Omni Finance, and what specific financial challenges or gaps in this market does it aim to address?
Yeah, so we were inspired to make Omni because we thought we saw that it was like really hard for new products to list like collateral assets on lending markets. And if you think about the growth of DeFi, there's going to be more and more tokens and assets and real world assets that move on chain, and those are going to need a lending market. But it's not really feasible for these like new assets or tokens to create their own lending markets for themselves, because the reason why people use Aave is not because their technology is like innovative or necessarily better than the next money market itself. It's because it's been around for so long that it kind of has this trust or like this perception of trust, which is that you'll never like lose money if you like deposit in this protocol. And so that's where we see our advantage, is that like we're able to like exist for a long time, prove to everyone that we're super secure, that if you deposit with us, you're guaranteed to like never lose money, and then still be able to like take on more risk and list more assets without having to spin up an entirely like new protocol like what Aave would need to do. And so this, like, we wanted to build a money market that's able to be adaptive and resilient for the future. Whereas right now we saw no protocol is able to accomplish this.
Thanks. I like the fact that it's an adaptive choice for either the borrower or the lender. That's very appealing. I think we covered a broader overview here. Are there any people tuning in that like to ask a question to CTF?
I have a question. I don't know whether you have mentioned it already or not, but what's going to be the next chain other than BNB chain?
Yeah, so I guess I'll announce it here first, but there will be another announcement coming early next week, but it'll be on Arbitrum.
Okay, perfect. Alan, I'm the guy with a huge stake in Battle. I believe in the project, okay? So I'm the one who's constantly running that in Discord with questions about the protocol. So that's me.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I thank you for all the advice that you've given us. We've definitely like really internalized a lot of what you've said and are trying to make the improvements. Yeah, hopefully we'll able to show you some good results.
And also, the part of the investor community, I would like to say that I personally, I believe in beta because I see a huge perspective, not like just technically, but like if we consider the whole Bitcoin cycle, hyper cycle, like macro cycle, I see that beta is going to bloom later. When we get to the point where Bitcoin starts a new bull run. So for me, yeah, it's just like a few thoughts for other investors in the budget. So don't be desperate.
Yeah, definitely. We're also waiting for the bull run and definitely looking to capitalize on that momentum.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. So please get the project ready to the point, to that time, to the time limit. Thank you.
On that note, I'd like to thank CTF for joining here regarding the formal work interrogation of us. Thanks for joining, taking the time off your busy schedule to answer the questions from either audience or the ones that I have done. Yeah, thanks a lot, and have a great day outside.